Hey, what is going on, everybody? Ryan Leary, William Tincup here with another episode of The Barf. William, what's up?
A great day. Having a great day. Both kids are home, so full house, which means a lot more laundry,
Yeah,
a
well,
lot more dishes. So that's the thing that's on my mind. That's driving me right now. It's like, oh my god.
I gotta do laundry. They do their own.
No,
They're old enough. Do
they
their
do.
own
No, they
laundry.
do. They do their own, but it's just it stacks up,
Oh.
and so you got all that, and it's dishes the same way. It just like stacks up.
Yeah.
And so, it's just one of those deals. You kind of get used to having one kid. The kid's off at college, and all of a sudden they come home. It's like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. We got I had this conversation the other day with one of the kids. I'm like, the dishwashers, or say, you made all this food and you just threw it in the sink. Like, what are you doing?
could you put a little soap in it at least?
Well, she says, well, I was busy. I said, just throw it in the dishwasher. Well, the dishwasher is filled. Well, empty the fucking dishwasher.
Yeah. No.
She's like, yeah, but I'm busy. I'm like,
yeah. Let's talk a little bit about busy.
yeah. Like,
Who isn't busy?
I'm like, oh my God. Like, just clean the damn dishes.
Van's gotten into cooking. So it's crazy because he's one of those kids that just gets into something. Now he wants to cook everything. So it's like, okay, but he's like, well, one of your children, not factoring in cleanup or prep.
Yeah, no prep, no cleanup. Don't set the table. Just fucking cook and leave.
I want to make some eggs. It's like, okay, sounds great. He's cracking eggs, making them. Yeah. And like, I didn't see it, but I can already imagine there's a couple pans and bowls and stuff like that. It's like, okay, great. Yeah,
which is all good. I want them to do
their thing. It is.
God, for the life. Look, I'm not perfect. I get it.
Did our parents, did they bitch like this?
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't allowed to do shit. I'm going to cut this as a clip and put it on there. My mom never let me do shit.
Oh, no, my mom.
If the dishes weren't done.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
She's going to chime in on, here's the thing. She's going to put a comment below and say,
yes,
you're a liar. You never did this. I let you do everything. No, you didn't. No,
yeah, well, that was the generation of, okay, you get this done, then you get this.
Yeah.
Okay, so, if you want to go play, do this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if these younger generations, if we've parented them that same way.
I've done a horrible job. I'm pretty soft.
Oh yeah.
But I look at it as like, you know what?
That'd be fine.
I think each situation's a little different for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, do you really need to clean up your dishes right now, or can you go do that? You'll do this later.
No one died.
Never do it later. But that's
yeah. No, that's the bit.
Anyhow, all right.
What do you got?
We got a lot of stuff to talk about today.
Let's go. Let's go.
I think some fun stories.
Oh, yeah.
All right. 1,000 people, more than 400,000 people were burned in a massive employee benefits data breach. So Kelly Benefits, they got hit with a cyber attack that exposed names, social security numbers, bank info for 413,000 people. The breach happened in December, and it wasn't discovered until March 2025. So December 24 to March 2025 is a 3-month delay. I'm taking them at their word.
Yeah, fair.
So this reminded me of a conversation we just had with Steve Letterman over at iSolve. We were at iSolve Connect, and we had an episode with him that we recorded. He's their head of fraud, and it reminded me of this.
Fraud prevention.
Fraud prevention. Yeah. Fraud prevention, not just fraud, is right. So he had said, we had asked him, I think one of the questions we had asked him was, what's the questions people need to ask? And he just said, look, if the solution doesn't have someone heading up fraud prevention, run away.
Move to the next one.
Now, I'm not saying Kelly Benefits doesn't. I'm just saying it reminded me of that. But what it did make me think about is, look, if you're the solution sitting between the employers and the employees,
right? That data.
You need bulletproof infrastructure. You can't screw with this. You're a liability at that point, and that's a big deal.
Well, he also told us something that freaked us out as well, and because this one had bank info, so not just privacy, name, social security number, that type of stuff. We asked him about the dark web.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
he's just like, you can get anybody's social security number,
Yeah.
this, that, and the other for $6.
Yeah. Well, he
Like, and
said
he
the
just
dark
said
web.
it
He's like,
in a way like, yeah, that's kids
yeah.
play.
Yeah. He's like, dark web. He's like, I did that 10, 15 years ago. He's like, we're
Yeah.
not doing that right now. He's like, we're far beyond that. That's amateur stuff. So anyhow, 413,000 people. There you go.
All right, I got one for you that I've never seen. Homogeneous versus heterogeneous teams in startups. So this article, it's on Pegasus, angelaccelerator.com. It's fascinating because they basically did a breakdown of pros and cons of both strategies. So
Okay.
homogeneous meaning hiring people like you, and you kind of think of the tech bro, Silicon Valley,
Yeah.
that bit, which is all negative
Mhm.
and probably rightfully so. But they broke down the pros and cons of each. So if you go with heterogeneous, then everyone's not like you. Fair. Homogeneous, everybody's like you. Okay. The best part of this article, so everyone stop what you're doing, put your pencils down, and go read this article, because the best part was them talking frankly about whether or not the CEO is the right CEO for the time. And so it talks about culture and it talks about hiring.
Mhm.
So do you hire, when just early stage startup, 5 employees, etc., do you hire people that are like you, or do you hire people that are not like you? And again, I'm not making recommendations for either, but they make a case for both with pros and cons, which I'd never seen before. And then they go all the way through that bit, and then they get down to, okay, another thing to think about is that growth curve is the CEO, usually it's the founder and CEO, co-founder. Is that CEO the right CEO for that moment? And because it's coming from an investor
Mhm.
perspective, it's you got certain questions that you have to answer, and a lot of it is certain founders in our industry, we've only had one from the garage to public, from public to
Right.
sale,
Mhm.
and I was large at SuccessFactors, and so I know it intuitively that CEOs are good at certain $20 million, $50 million, $100 million, scaling to public,
Certain,
like
yeah, certain points of the
certain
journey.
bits. But go read the article. It is
Okay.
fascinating because people they make a the argument for both.
CrowdStrike. Remember CrowdStrike?
I do.
Yeah, not that they went away. I mean,
Right, right,
CrowdStrike
right,
is
right,
CrowdStrike.
right.
So they're set to cut 5% of the workforce, and they cited AI-driven efficiencies.
Yeah.
So if if there was ever a tone deaf story that I've shared, which is probably a lot, this is
Yeah.
one of them. Here it is, right? So CrowdStrike, so for those who don't remember, CrowdStrike was a company that caused, not behind, but caused the global IT outage, was it 2 years ago? Whatever it
Yep.
was,
Yeah.
because of a faulty software update.
It was
Okay,
worldwide. Yeah.
worldwide. They just announced that they're laying off 5% of its team. Here's the tone deaf part. After hitting the $1 billion revenue mark, we hit $1 billion. We're going to cut 5%, which is 500 jobs cut. Got it. I understand why. Like, I get it. Business is business. You don't need people to do everything, and shit's changing. I get that.
Right.
It just seems bedside manner. There's a better way to tell someone you're dying. And this is
Right.
just not the one. This is not the right way.
So I like the context of like the percentage. I like that. So 5%,
Mhm,
500 jobs represents, this many people.
mhm.
So 5% of X number. But I also like to know in that balance of how many people are they hiring? How many job recs do they have open?
Right.
Because it could be, first of all, you're absolutely right. It is massively tone deaf,
Mhm,
and they could have waited a couple months from hitting that very important marker.
mhm.
That's just dumb. Uh, but it's one of those deals. It's like, okay,
You
what is
cut
the
500, you
context?
hire 1,000.
Right. Like that we might be missing, and I say we, I'm talking about all of us. We might be missing because in LinkedIn, all they talk about is layoffs.
Right, right,
They never give context for layoffs.
right.
They just talk about layoffs like it's bad out
Yeah.
there. It's really because that's what grabs news. It's
Yeah, yeah,
clicks.
yeah.
So CrowdStrike, good company, I'm sure.
Yeah.
didn't have a good.
Yeah.
Just this is not a good optically. This
Yeah.
is not a good look.
Yep.
All right, Ryan. I know you love GNI, so GNI makes creating reports, ideas, and prototypes easier than ever. Stated, covered. Discernment can set young workers apart from their peers. What makes the difference is the why, and that's where your human judgment comes in. This is the first time I've actually read about this. I mean, I've thought about it, but not read about it. This is on charterworks.com, so you go read the article. It's the critical thinking and judgment. And so then it got me to think, okay, yeah, first discernment, critical thinking, like all that stuff ties together. I get it. But how do these generations, digital natives, etc., learn discernment? How do they learn that? And of course, I wrote, spoiler alert, it's not taught in schools.
Right.
So critical thought and personal finance have always wanted to be taught in schools. They're not. So this now it's impacting the job. So they get out of college or get out of high school, and it's like, okay, Gen AI is doing all this stuff, but where does the human come in? The human can come in at discernment.
Yeah.
It can come in at critical thought.
Yeah.
But they don't have those skills. So we both have kids of that age. So it's like we've got to start teaching them critical thought.
It's on the families now.
Agreed.
Do that. I think at the university level, I mean, just because we're looking, a lot of the programs they're talking about critical thinking.
Right.
They're talking about liberal arts and humanities, but I don't really know that they understand other than it being a talking point in the presentation.
The only one that I can remember from my college career was all the art class, pure art, sculpture, painting, printmaking, all that stuff, because you had to pin your work up on the on the board, and you had to have 20 other kids your age tell you what sucked about your work.
Well,
And
William,
then
I know you spent 6 months on this, but let me just tell you.
Oh, dude, you get hammered. Oh my God. And it's as much as I say it's not personal, it's not personal. It's critique.
You need to be able to take that.
As an artist, if you can't take that, you shouldn't be an artist.
There you go. All right. So I've got one to follow this that actually makes sense.
Okay.
So high school students are receiving $50,000 to $70,000 job offers in skilled trades before high school graduation.
Dang.
That's fantastic. So trades are back, baby. Companies with shortages of skilled workers are looking in now into shop classes. So they're recruiting from the shop classes. They're giving interns and
Genius
things like that to apprenticeships to high school shop students, and they're going in and teaching classes and having their employees go in and walk them through. Okay, this is what you're learning. This is how it is, right? This is what we do. So anyhow, the U.S. It's expected that the U.S. will need more than 500,000 new electricians.
Oh yeah.
And 600,000 plumbers by 2030. That's a ton. That's a ton. So I pulled two stats.
AI is not hitting that.
No,
anytime soon.
No, there'll be technology. I mean, there's definitely technology now. There will be to assist.
Yeah, of course.
But you need to be able to do this job. So I pulled two stats that I thought were really cool out of this. One was the excuse me, the $50,000 to $75,000 START program. There's programs that are called, it's like the heavy metal summer experience.
Oh, cool.
So it's like welding and machining and stuff like that. They now have just a couple of years old, so 51 locations and 900 students in the last 2 years have joined this program. That's
I love it.
Pretty killer. Yeah.
Dude, there's a guy that lives with a neighbor that lives right around the corner from me, a master plumber and a master electrician. Dude makes bank. Like,
yeah, I'm sure he does.
He's got crews of crews.
Yeah. And my daughter, she was surprising to us. We had no clue. She applied to the tech school for high school for the electrical program, and she got accepted. So she's now in that, and so next year she'll be doing. She's got her uniform and boots and all that stuff we got to get now. But so hey, maybe fresh out of high school, she'll be surpassing those college freshmen and sophomores. that are racking up the debt, and she'll be good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles City Council voted to increase the minimum wage for tourism workers to $30 per hour
Ooh.
by 2028. This
Wow.
includes hotel and airport workers. The vote passed 12-3 margin. The move is intended to raise wages for the tens of thousands of tourism workers in the city. This is LA Times. You can find it everywhere because everyone's talking about it, but LA Times, if you want to read it there. Los Angeles is set to host the 2028 Summer Olympics.
It is. Yeah.
How are they going to hide Skid Row?
They're just going to get rid of them. Isn't that what they did last time? Didn't they?
Well, that was Atlanta definitely did put some
they just move them to another area.
Just, again, you look at it, and if there's no context, right? Tourism workers, $30 per hour. Okay, that makes sense in like a New Orleans, because it's tourism. That's all it is tourism base, or maybe even Orlando or stuff like that. LA is not a tourism capital.
Oh, it will be next year or 2 years.
It will be. If you're paying somebody $30 an hour, you're going to get quality people. It's going to be. I imagine that right after the Olympics,
it'll go back down.
That'll go back down.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So, bye-bye, Skid Row.
Bye-bye. All right, Moderna. We know Moderna.
I do. I got all my backs from.
Yeah. So they did something interesting. We've seen this a couple of times now. So they merged their tech and their HR departments together.
That's smart.
To adapt AI-driven workplace changes. So the interesting thing here is they've developed 3,000 AI agents across operations,
right,
in total so far, at least at the time of the article was written. So they now have over 3,000 agents across the entire organization. The goal is they want to redefine work responsibilities for how humans work alongside the automated systems. So we've seen this before. Microsoft has also done this. 2 examples they gave, which was interesting to me. So employees can use these agents for dose selection on clinical trials. So they have one to select the dose for a specific clinical trial and help drafting the responses to questions from regulators. The HR example I was able to find, and I'm sure there's a lot more. So they have one broad agent for HR and maybe 500 others. But that one broad agent is the entry point into their HR, chat area or self-service area. And then based on what you're asking, it now connects you to a web or a series of other agents that can then assist you, whether it's benefits or healthcare or, payroll, whatever it is. All of these are now combined into one. So you got 3,000 across the agency, which is pretty interesting. But the big story is they've merged tech and HR, and we're seeing that now become almost a trend in a lot of these larger companies.
I love it. Okay, you ready for another story? So this is a quote on the front end. When you take a returning general, they hit the ground running and take command. This is Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, a professor at Yale. On the upside of hiring a Boomerang employee like United Healthcare's new and former CEO, Stephen Helmsley. So this was in the Wall Street Journal, so you can read about it there. The bit is Boomerang CEOs know where everything's buried, right? They probably put some, they probably buried a couple people there, but the thing is what I loved about the article is they were talking about in crisis mode.
Mm-hmm.
United Healthcare, some would say it's in crisis mode. CEO left. Okay, so you bring in the chair and former CEO to come in and stabilize things during this time period. That's not a long-term play. No. 3-4 years, then they'll bring in or they'll groom somebody to take that job. But I think it's a terrific way to think about returning leaders, especially if you're in crisis. Something's gone, something's gone CrowdStrike. Something's gone awry. Okay, what can you do? Maybe your CEO left, got shot, whatever. Then bring in somebody like that. It's just an excellent way to use boomerangs. So,
no, it is, and it's
was the shot thing too far?
I can't. I, I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah.
Anywho,
If we have
so
to, there's a censor
Boomerang.
button.
There you go.
All right. I got one more. I hope it's just one more. I can't remember. AI story. It's like the AI show. This was an article from ZDNet
Yep.
that was referred to me from Ed Bernstein. So I spoke with Ed this week, and he shared this article, and I found it fascinating. This is one where it was CHROs talking about digital employees or digital labor, sorry, and how AI agents, they don't view them as tools, but they view them as teammates. So teammates with their human partner. So you have an agent, I have an agent, or maybe I have a team of agents, but they're considered my digital labor that I'm now managing and working alongside with. And so by 2030, I think it was no 2027, they're expecting a 327% growth in agent adoption.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy. So so in this article anyway, CHROs project a 30% boost is what they expect in productivity, and then a 19%, it was like 19 to 23, something 19% drop in actual labor cost across the board.
Interesting.
But the interesting to me was how they talked about this as being a hybrid work environment, but not
Yeah.
hybrid in the sense of work remotely, come to the office. It's human agent.
Yeah. Oh, and
Human
I've got a
agent.
story in research that you're going to love because it follows this up really well.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's just you're going to like it because it's basically it's another way of looking at what you're saying. A new MIT study found that humans paired with an AI agent on a marketing campaign were individually more productive than those paired with other humans.
Oh.
These findings suggest that AI's involvement in collaborative settings can drive productivity and performance by enabling participants to focus more on the content, possibly by reducing the social coordination cost of collaboration. First time I've
Social
heard.
coordination cost. That sounds like
I know,
what happens
right?
in an office. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let me talk to you. Okay, you got to do this. All right, let's go into the room. Let's do. And
Uh-huh.
again, you could do it on Zoom. You could do
You
all
have a
this stuff.
meeting
And
to
it's
prep for the meeting.
and that's that's the one that hit me in the mouth is that social collaboration cost of coordination cost of collaboration.
Hmm.
That's the thing that you're talking about. AI paired
Yeah.
with an employee. It's going to. They don't have to now go and do all the other things that we had to do.
Yeah.
All that
I don't need to
coordination.
hear your response.
Try.
I
That's
mean,
it. That's
the
it.
agent's going to tell me, not a great idea. I can do this,
I I
but I
think
don't need
we're
to debate you on it.
I think we're going to hear more about the efficiency of collaboration, if you will,
Mhm.
than just efficiency. Like people are going to get tired of hearing
Yeah.
AI is going to help you with your efficiencies. Okay, but like specifically, what does
Yeah.
that mean? That social coordination cost. I think we're going to hear more terms like that. That one in particular, but those I
Yeah.
like that as well. So
Yeah. I like that. That's actually really interesting.
we're going back up to news for just a second. You ready?
Yeah. Get it?
Okay, so let me find my place, and there it is. All right, so AI is coming for your jobs. Heck, it's coming for my job too. This is a wake up call. That's from Micah Kaufman, CEO of freelance marketplace Fiverr, via a memo sent to his staff last month.
Mm-hmm.
You look it up on Business Insider, they have the memo, etc. He also recently said he'll only hire candidates who use AI. So kind of like the Shopify guy, where it's proved to me that AI can't do this. He's taken a slightly different stance.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be able to use AI. If you can't use AI, like you're just not even a candidate.
Yeah.
Now some of that's shock and awe, and some of it's pragmatism. I get that. But think of what his Fiverr. We both use Fiverr.
Yeah.
Gen AI is already disrupting his business.
Yeah.
So being outspoken, being a proponent for AI,
Yeah.
he's not digging in at his heels and saying, stop, make it stop, all that stuff. He's saying, no, it's game on.
Yeah.
But
Well,
those that won't change are going to be left behind.
yeah. So I'll jump down the one that I have in funding because two things about Fiverr. One, I get it. Times change. It's no longer $5, right? You
Right.
get into the
I'm
project,
not sure it ever was.
it's
But go ahead.
$150. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay. However, there's a company, I have this in funding. There's a company, it's an AI powered freelance talent platform. It's called Shakers.
Yeah.
So they raised 14 million pound Series A to scale its operations across Europe. So I've never loved Upwork. I love the idea, but I never really had a great experience or
Right.
like great talent. Like it's always been,
Yeah.
you put something out there and 98 people get back to
Right.
you right away.
Yeah.
I do like Fiverr, although it's not $5 anymore and probably
Right.
never was, right?
Never was.
But so what this company is doing is they bubble up only the qualified people to your job. So Fiverr is great, but it's a basic search. You have to run through 100 profiles to find the
Right.
one. But I do
Right.
enjoy looking at the portfolios and all that stuff. So anyhow, Shakers is building what they're calling a freelance operating system.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
yeah, so the funding makes sense to me because companies don't want to waste time filtering through 1,000 profiles.
Right.
But I mean, it's just common sense of what we do. They want vetted, team ready talent first and be ready to go. This is what they're
I need
selling.
to know your style. I need to know what's delivered, and I need to know the style in which you would want it delivered.
Yeah, exactly. And
Right.
this is what they're doing. So when you brought
Yeah.
Fiverr up, I'm like, oh, there you go.
Well
Maybe
done.
they should talk to Shakers and figure that part out.
Ding.
Uh,
Or acquire them.
or acquire them. There you
So I
go.
got 3 acquisitions. We're going to burn through them pretty quick. Telus
All right.
Health acquires Workplace Options, top provider of well-being services to the Fortune 500. And this was actually came with a price tag, $500 million.
Ooh.
So stocktitan.net is where I found the story, but you just Google it. It's pretty well easily found. So employee and family assistance, what we used to call EAPs, employee assisted programs. So they've actually changed that to employee and family assistant programs, acquired well-being solutions, and now TELUS Health is positioned to support clients across all channels and global verticals, covering more than 150 lives and growing.
Okay.
So basically, they were an EFAP, and then they brought in and they purchased for $500 million the well-being support. So now they merge those two things together. And
All right.
good, everybody wins here. And I love it when acquisitions actually are stated, like the number stated.
Yeah, what they get. Yeah.
So,
Oh, there you go.
and now we're on to research.
Yeah. All right. So HBR questions whether the chief marketing officer, CMO, the role needs an update amid expanding responsibilities in digital transformation. So I normally would have put something like this in here, but we've been talking about doing stuff for CMOs.
Right.
And we have some stuff coming out. But it's this the CMOs today, they're expected to lead AI, digital, CX, revenue, all of this stuff all at one time. That's a lot, right? You can't do all that and then expect this person to drive strategy, own the tech stack, run ops, lead in demand gen, analytics, all like it's just a lot of stuff. The role is grown too big for what it is. Now, we've discussed like, do you need a chief AI officer and stuff like that? Of course, the answer is yes. So anyhow, what the article was talking about is the actual title and how they broke it down. And they did a whole bunch of research. So go read it. It's at HBR. But they broke the title, the CMO title, traditional title, into 3: Chief Growth Officer, Chief Customer Officer, and Chief Digital Officer. And all 3 of those should be aligned in the same peer group, working together to drive the business.
Right.
So there's a whole bunch of stats there and a whole bunch of methodology on how they did this, but it was really interesting. Check it out.
I'm not sure that any of those roles now going forward should be static at all.
No, absolutely not.
So this is where I would have mentioned the MIT study about the social coordination costs of collaboration.
Oh yeah, you already did that.
So did that,
Yeah.
and we're on to Salesforce.
Yeah, Salesforce. All right. So Salesforce rolls out what they call AI-powered Career Connect. Um, so they crushed the numbers on this one. So in 2024, they launched a 3-month pilot internally called Career Connect and Career Agent, which essentially just AI platforms to help employees navigate career ops and
Right.
training.
Smart.
So the initial run, small, 1,200 employees, but listen to these numbers: 74% engaged with Career Connect, 28% of those people applied for new roles through the platform. In the first quarter of 25, Salesforce put out the report that 50% of open positions were filled through internal applications, and over 90% of these roles were discovered via Career Connect.
We saw the investments being made by Salesforce and and AI
Mhm.
in 22 and 23.
Yeah, we did.
Now,
Yep.
now we're starting to see some of the outputs
Yeah.
that they're using. And the cool thing about internal applicants and is the internal mobility part is its retention, and
Yeah.
it's also a reduction in the cost of hire. So you kind of kill two birds with one stone.
Right.
You lower your recruiting cost while at the
Mhm.
same time increasing your retention and morale.
Right. Right.
So I love it because I love an internal hire because they already know the gig. I mean, they already know the business. They already know the values. Like you don't have to
Mhm.
teach them all that stuff. If they have a new position, yes, they'll have to learn some stuff there. But
Right. But they know the company and they
yeah,
know the teams and they're there.
yeah,
They know the culture. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's all over.
genius.
So yeah, go look into it. It's really interesting. I think we'll see more of this.
Salesforce leading. All
Time
right,
for some dollars.
let's do it. Chronify. That's Cronofy. You might have heard of them before.
Mhm.
They're a pretty big company. Embedded scheduling infrastructure secured 15 million pounds. So it's on Yahoo Finance. So you go take
Mhm.
a look at them. It's a fintech business, or excuse me, it's fintech business wise. I just wanted to pull out one of the things because they do scheduling. So what Chronify is known for is optimizing schedules. Now they do it in a lot of verticals. So they do it in construction, they do it in manufacturing and trucking. They do it all across. But in our little world, I found one stat in the presser that I liked. FinTech business wise reduced its interview scheduling time from 6 days to 90 minutes
Well,
using Chronify's platform integrations.
yeah.
So again, they do this for a lot of industries, not just ours,
Mhm.
but just that alone, we're going from 6 days to 90 minutes, and they're just, how that's going to work. They're
Mhm.
just going to get better at it, smarter at it.
Yeah. Good for
Get
them.
it? Yeah, love it. Chronify.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't
And you
heard their
talked,
name in quite some time. So, all right, I'm gonna
you've already,
jump in. I got where we talked about the one funding
right.
for the freelance platform. I got one more I'll throw at you. So this is hospitality workforce management platform S4 Labor. So they secured 4 million pounds in growth capital from YFM Equity Partners. So I like this because it's fixing real issues, real
Yeah.
operational issues in hospitality. Bad scheduling, labor waste, high turnover, all of this stuff. This isn't transformational software. They're not like breaking the bank here with something new.
Right.
It's execution.
Yeah.
And most organizations, especially in hospitality, desperately need better execution. They're working with 250 brands, 300 brands at the moment. So they're doing something right and they're
They
just
should be
spraying the money.
targeting LA.
Yeah. Target LA, they're going to need you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, this is an industry that just needs a little bit of change
Oh, yeah.
to make a huge impact. So good for them.
Love it. Origin raises 21 million to expand AI powered global benefits platform. So 21 million, company's name's Origin. This is insidermedia.com. You go read
Not
the
Blue
story.
Origin.
No, or anything else Origin related. So one of the stats that just flew off the page for me is $45 billion global benefits industry with a B.
Hmm.
So what they're doing, Origin's doing is AI first, highly personal, and global. Kind of hard to bet against that. that combination. So good for them, 21 mil. So that's that with Origin. And I got
All right.
one more. AI workforce. We have talked about AI so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
All right.
like buzzword bingo today.
All right. AI workforce optimization platform Profinda, Profinda, has secured a £3 million facility. So I like this because basically they got funding. It's part of a much larger funding package, but they got a $3 million facility for the work that they need to do. So in terms of they're basically, it's a platform that's used to resource and staff projects by optimizing relevant skills and compatible workflows for employees. So they're a load balancing, right sizing play, an AI play, but they needed a facility to, I would assume they're going to need a facility for the data and for some other things as well. But I like that they broke the funding up. Instead of this being a $40 million funding raise, they got a $3 million facility, and they're going to get other funding to grow the business, but they needed a facility. So Profinda, go take a look at them, and congratulations to them.
Oh, there we go. That was quick. I feel like we whipped through this today.
Yeah, I think again, we said AI
like 150 times.
Yeah, a bit too much, but that's what's in the news. And
Yeah.
if you notice, on all the funding, it was not in the U.S.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. All of mine was, yeah.
It was all elsewhere, which is week to week. That kind of happens.
Yeah.
You'll have 18 American companies getting funded,
Yeah.
and so it just happens that way. But yeah, it's again, there's things that are going to stick for me from this show. That part about collaboration, I think it's going to be one of those things that stick with me. Skid Row, it's definitely going to stick with me because
Skid Row will always stick there.
I want to see how they hide it. That's all I care about.
All right, guys. Thank you all for listening. If you're listening to this before the when do we leave? The 26th, 28th? Something like that. May 2025. If you're not, hey, thanks for listening to the back catalog. But we'll be at Cornerstone Connect.
That's right.
Or Cornerstone Spark, sorry, that you can catch us at. And then we got SHRM coming up as well. So if you're listening and you're going to be at SHRM and you want to jump on the podcast with us, we are broadcasting live out there. We'd love to have you. Until then, we shall see you later.